starting to drive the Kia EV2 here in some urban surrounding first, soon then motorway and efficiency tests and so on. Oh, with these 18-inch wheels here, suspension is not too harsh actually. You know that in the GT line it would also be 19-inch available. Could get a little bit rougher on the one hand. On the other hand, it's very interesting that the 19-inch on the GT line have a special foam also on the inside of the tire that it's actually even better for noise development. So there's less noise than with these tires, with these 19-inch. Very interesting, right? And here, since it's not the GT line we're driving here, with the standard range battery, with a small one, we also don't have the insulation, the dual, like this lamination in the windows. We would also get that standard then in the GT line, but so far here in the city it's still silent, so it's a calm surrounding. And they also paid special attention to that, like from underneath and also in the front there, in this like in this whole compartment, also like the front from underneath and so on. They paid attention to add some extra foam and dampening materials that's actually staying quite silent here on the interior. And so far in the city, that's also working well. Looking forward soon to the difference then on the motorway. Well, this one didn't want to go. And good and smooth transitions here between brake and throttle. You can of course set the recuperation modes. So at the moment, this is my likable setting. Level 1, so there's some recuperation, because usually when you lift your feet off the throttle, then lift your foot off the throttle, then you want to decelerate a little bit, but maybe not more. But you can also make it stronger, and you can also hold it then for the I pedal. The I pedal then would be that you also come to an absolute standstill to have this true one pedal driving effect. But you can really just change it how you want to. Here's some cobblestones, and I think with these 18-inch wheels here, it's still a good setup, that it's still sporty in the ride, but also very comfortable. You have this seating position, which is somewhat SUV-like, but also somewhat small car-like. I'm sitting very low, could of course get a little bit higher as well. The only problem, told you in the interior part, that my knee is always hitting here, this shifting lever, so I don't know, maybe I have to find some different seating position then to make it a little bit more suitable than here to me. Pressing and holding the small volume jog here on the steering wheel, by the way, deactivates this EU speed chime law. It's also a good and quick hotkey to deactivate it, also when you just start driving, for example. Direct and likable steering, and the car is also not shaking up much and so on, that you can also drive in a fun and agile way here in the city. So yeah, I mean,
Sorry, I didn't hear that clearly.
Okay.
I think
There was
that
a lot going on. Yeah.
there was a lot going on. I think that was probably a combination of the emergency braking assistant and the voice assistant at the same time, thinking Thomas is calling me. I have no idea, but yeah. Thanks, we're fine. So getting out of here, of the roundabout, is also pretty nice and agile. You also have like the instant boost. And remember, since we're driving the small battery here, we also have a better, quicker acceleration. We can probably show that to you here from the traffic light. Actually, it's slightly uphill, but I can go, for example, here to sport mode with the Kia EV2. And oh, here we go. Already here. And that's it, 0 to 40 kilometers an hour. And that's quick enough. Say here, even uphill, 8.7 seconds with the small battery, 9.5 seconds with the bigger battery. So there is this gap because the bigger battery is just heavier. Yeah. But I think for most situations it will be enough. Looking forward to how it will be on the motorway very soon. You might argue for the small battery, maybe because of the better acceleration. It will rather be a question of pricing. And if you rather want to use this one here in rural surrounding in the city and you don't drive really long-term motorway, if you're thinking about getting it as a primary vehicle and also thinking about maybe some longer motorway routes, then of course the big battery is way to go for. You know, there was this logic 42 kilowatt hours versus 61 kilowatt hours, and 61 is very reasonably sized for this segment here. That's the cool thing, that you can do so many things, different things with this vehicle, since we have a lot of space in the rear. Either we could easily travel with 4 tall adults now, or we could go shopping and get a lot of stuff, actually. Maybe even furniture. That would also work with this vehicle, you know. And that's, I think, the key to this vehicle, that you can have so many different use cases here. So far, really calm in the city, good, likable driving feeling, ticks all the boxes. Blind spot monitor here in the side mirrors, for example. Cruise control is set here on the left side of the steering wheel. Then here in the tunnel, you can also see something of this ambient lighting. That looks fancy. Of course, you can also change the colors. And, yeah, but actually quite cool, but not too much. And then you can also set here the assistance systems at the steering wheel. You can also activate or deactivate this lane keeping assist. Yeah, I mean, rather used on the motorway, of course, and that's where we're going right now. Right now, sport mode one more time, and on the motorway. And let's have some acceleration from, let's say, 60 to whatever we can score. Let's go. Okay, that's uphill. 100. And that's 120. Almost. I mean, it was uphill. You see, it's not the performance car, but yeah, uphill could still be a little bit quicker when you think about you need to get on a German motorway very quickly or something like that. Yeah, and then remember that the bigger battery will even have a little bit less performance. So yeah, I mean, huge performance you can't expect out of this vehicle here. It's also not the main focus. However, also going back here to the normal mode, because it's more about like throttle input as well. At 100 kilometers an hour, it's still actually pretty silent. So, and remember, this is not the GT line. It doesn't have like the lamination here. And here now at 120 kilometers an hour, still okay. I mean, 100 is really, really nice. 120,
A bit loud here,
yeah,
but
that's
not that much.
picking up a little bit. So I would say then, if you want to drive faster than 100 very often, then maybe the GT line is for you, that you have then the insulation, but still think on a good level. And now we can test the assistance systems once again. Also now signals me, you know, we are on the motorway now. And yeah, the reactions from the steering are sometimes maybe a little bit nervous, maybe just a little bit, but overall fine. Also keeping the distance to the car in front of us. And you can also drive it on the motorway. If you think about a higher segment vehicle, what would you gain? Maybe even a little bit more seating comfort in comparison to these seats. However, I have the feeling that the GT line seats were also a little bit better. So I start to get the feeling that really the GT line is the motorway version with bigger battery. Whoa, that is close driving from these guys there. Then, probably looking at smartphone. Then you have I feel even a little bit better seats in the GT line. Then the foam in the tires for noise insulation, and also the laminated windows. This is here more the setup that you can very well use it for a lower price in the city. However, I think it's still doing very well here on the motorway. So it's calm, it's not too loud. Also, how the suspension behaves here, you can easily drive it also on the motorway, feeling very settled, very neutral. I think they have done a good job with tuning that chassis here and finding a very good neutral balance that everyone can be happy with this vehicle actually. So one more lane change here. Yeah, just keeping it very, very calm. So, as I said initially, this car is just ticking all the boxes when you say, hey, I want like a small car, should be electric, and I just need it for the everyday driving, you know, and maybe nothing special, but sometimes also something special, like with this very flexible rear there. But here in the driving part, I can't really complain about anything else. That I have not so much space for my knee here with the shifting, but everything else, yeah. Sorry, I'm always getting back to that because it's really kind of annoying for me. For some, maybe not. Some also wrote me like, Thomas, I don't know why I have a problem there, but Maybe it's a different body posture than, that just happens with humans. But everything else feels really, really good. And then these new small vehicles sometimes really let you forget that you are in a very small car, because they already have these larger car features and already feel a little bit more refined. And that's definitely the case here also for the Kia EV2.